to start with a simple survey. How many of us live or work in a city? Raise your hands. Looks like almost everyone except for our friends at the front. We are living, right now we are in a city, right? So cities are our future. By the year 2050, more than 70% of the world's population will be living in cities. Cities consume 80% of the world's material and energy resources and is responsible for producing 75% of all carbon emissions. And with carbon emissions comes climate change. The high density of people and infrastructure in cities makes cities vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So let's talk a bit about climate change. Climate change is a hard truth, a looming shadow hanging on the periphery of life as we know it. The instinctual response that we must have to this pending adversity is to adopt a lifestyle and take actions that accommodate our future. We hear a lot of information about weather changes. There have been multiple incidents of bushfires, droughts, floods, cyclones that hit Earth the hardest. And it's been recorded that the years 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017 have been the hottest years on record. I would not be surprised if 2018 goes on that list as well. And as of now, 5 Pacific islands are already swallowed by rising sea levels. Who knows what more awaits for us in the future? I do not want to find out. So knowing this, hang on. So I was reading this article on climate change, and I found this quote by David Attenborough particularly interesting. And he said, "There's no question that climate change is happening. The only question is, what part are humans playing in it?" So this quote moved me because it touched on our responsibility to take action, to respond to this global issue. And then I found Rick Fedrizzi's statement. And then I saw this statement by Rick Fedrizzi, who is the founder of the US Green Building Council. And he said, "Green buildings are a hallmark of economically sound business decisions, thoughtful environmental decisions, and smart human impact decisions." And I thought, wow, that is such a powerful message. Green buildings are about making good decisions. Changing the future is about making good decisions. Solving climate change is about making good decisions. What are these decisions? So I thought about what does it take to create sustainable cities? In my research, I sought to investigate this. So I interviewed 38 architects and engineers, and I asked them about what they thought about the implementation of green building projects and what it takes to create sustainable cities. So they gave me a lot of information, and most of them were centered around the challenges to do green building projects. which would lead to sustainable cities. And then I gathered this information and analyzed the data, and I categorized them into 3 elements. Well, what I found was quite interesting. I found that green buildings are not the main thing. They were mainly the consequence, the result of our choices. It's the choice we make about who we are. It's about ourselves, our core values, our lifestyle choices, our risk behavior, our prejudices. It's also the choice about the principles and priorities in business. It's the choice about knowing what's important and demanding that they be met as requirements. To collectively, these choices influence our decision to go for sustainable solutions. I wanted to relate this to our first speaker's talk on mindfulness. So she talked about being mindful about drinking from a bottle of water, right? And then after you finish that bottle of water, you would be mindful, she was mindful about where to throw this bottle of water so that it doesn't go to the oceans. It's the same thing. What are sustainable cities? Sustainable cities, where cities are actually sustainable, we have better economic stability, cleaner environment, and equality. That's where we're leading to. So making this conscious choice about where to throw that bottle of water would lead to a sustainable city. As simple as that. So actually, that's on an individual scale. So I categorized this decision into 3 categories: design, business interests, and authority requirements. Now, we all have a role to play in the building scene. The decision to go for sustainable cities or green building projects is empowered by the choices that we make within these 3 realms, and it takes all of these 3 realms to support that decision. So, for example, an architect in the building industry would make a conscious choice about the materials that go into the building, about the design orientation. The engineer would make a conscious choice about the heating and cooling system that the building would adopt. The contractor would make a conscious choice about what methods he wants to use to get this project going. The building owner would make a conscious choice about how he wants the building to perform. As end users, you and I, we make a conscious choice about how we will be using the building. Whether we're going to switch off the lights after we are finished, after we end the day, whether we are going to throw waste in the correct recycle bin. The building authorities, they make a conscious choice about the policies and the requirements to imply on buildings. So we all have a role to play, regardless big or small. Now, a client, he may want to go for a green building project. And we have big clients who are in that game, and they champion sustainability as their vision and mission. So we have some big gamers in the building industry. They can do that because they have the capacity, and mainly the financial capacity. So we can't deny that certain things required to go for a green building project are expensive. They tend to be excuses. We do hear things like, it's too expensive, or it's just a whitewash propaganda created for political interest. And these are excuses to pull away from sustainable solutions. But like I said, we all have a role to play. So whether big or small, we could make a change. So a client who wants to go for sustainable solutions but do not have the means to do so would need to be supported by design and authority requirements. When I say authority requirements, I mean incentives and policies that advocate the dream of sustainable cities. Our third speaker, Rahman, talked about the opportunities presented to him to get to where he is right now. He is here right now because he had all that help from the people around him, which is beautiful. The same thing with sustainable cities. It can only happen if the support is given by everyone, all parties. So the decision to go for green buildings and sustainable cities happens when there is a positive balance with design, business interests, and authority requirements. Only then will that decision be advocated. Only then will the dream for sustainable cities become a reality. So it's up to you and me to make this happen. I firmly believe that everyone in this room has a role to play in the building scene. Everyone in this room can make a change either in design, in business interests, because we are the end users, and in the authority requirements. As constituents who will cast our votes, we have the opportunity to reject or demand the kind of policies that we want to see in future. So, my call for action is for us to make these conscious choices and notice every single action that we make, every single decision that we make. Thank you.